You talk away there.
So I have one history question, one Irish history question,
Right.
and then I have one human anatomy and or physiology question.
Okay. Will I go first with the Irish history question? Or Mike, this is
You go first.
a very distant Irish history question now. So this is I'll take it back a bit.
Right.
We don't need to talk about the British all the time, the civil wars and rebellions and stuff.
No.
So so this is a kind of an Irish mythology question, which we're all taught in schools, by the way.
Yeah.
So you've no excuse. So before this Gordon mythology, obviously.
Yeah.
So before the Irish people came to the island of Ireland,
Yeah.
there was an ancient race, supposedly came from under the sea, or from the sea and under the ground, mythical race of our enemies.
Yeah.
What were they called?
It wasn't Kitoga.
No.
Fuck it.
The Fomorians. Yeah.
I love that Irish history.
Irish
That's
mythology
my-
is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great.
Even like the Fionn McCool stuff and the fairy wars.
The good guys, do you know what they were called for a bonus
Go
question?
on.
Two-headed down.
Oh yeah.
Two-headed Dan. Sorry, not down.
No, that's a great one.
That's good.
I like that. Right. This is a history question, but it's an athletic or a sporting endeavor question as well, right?
Oh, it might not be great with these now. Go on.
Who's the highest paid athlete of all time?
Of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time. I know who was the highest paid athlete last year.
Go on.
Was
That'll get you no points, by the way. But
That was Conor McGregor last year.
was it?
He was the highest paid athlete and he didn't.
Not the highest paid of all time.
The highest paid of all time. I feel like it has to be a soccer player. Pele.
I'll give you a hint. It's not a soccer player.
He's not a soccer
No.
player. Can you give me the sport even? I'll forgo the points, but I'd like to guess this because I don't know it. I'm willing to go because I didn't give you any hints.
I can give you a year, a rough year.
All right, go on.
150 AD.
What?
Yeah. Highest paid of all time.
Spartacus.
No. Gaius Apuleius Diocles
Right.
was a Roman chariot driver.
Right.
Over the course of his career, he accumulated 35,863,120 sesticres,
Right.
whatever that means.
You turn yourself down a small bit there.
The equivalent of 15 billion US dollars. So he's widely held as the most highly paid athlete of all time. The equivalent of 30,000 legionnaires' salaries per year.
They those equivalents, those inflation equivalents. I've heard some economics people kind of argue against those, saying they're not really, correct. It's not
right.
an accurate assessment of
Right.
the wealth.
But if you take he's earning the equivalent of 30,000 people's salaries per year.
Would you rather be a king or an emperor 500 BC?
Yeah.
Or where you are right now?
We live a great life, Garth.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to answer questions, sir.
I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, that's good.
I couldn't imagine things being much better than they are right now.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I saying? Okay. Can you tell me what a quisling is?
A quisling.
Yes.
Give me a hint. Give me a bit of context. You don't have to use it in a sentence, but a bit of context. Quisling.
I try to give you a hint that definitely won't give it away. What kind of hint for a quisling? I give you a vague hint.
Go on.
It's something you do. Not you. But a person would do
Okay.
would do this thing and they would call them this kind of person.
They're a quisling then.
Yeah. Does that help you?
Yeah.
I'm just going to make sure I'm going to give you the accurate definition.
Jesus. Is it a junior quizzer? Like a person under the age of 18 who takes part in table quizzes?
I'm not going to accept that answer, right?
Okay.
And because it's too obvious, I'm going to give you another hint, right?
Right.
I'm going to reject that answer for you. Or
Okay. Yeah.
null that
Well,
for
I
you.
didn't say it was my final answer.
Is it not your final answer?
No.
Okay. No, it's not that.
Okay.
I would say
I'm taking shots in the dark here.
I'm going to give you a time period.
Oh, fuck.
Wartime.
Quisling.
Yeah. It'd be only in wartime.
Only in wartime.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the act of quiz.
Quizzing has nothing to do with the act of being a quisling.
Are they somebody who directs mortars?
No. Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So it's a person who collaborates with an enemy force occupying your country.
No way.
So like
a turncoat.
A turncoat, yeah. Like the Royal Irish Constabulary would have been Irish people. They would have been quislings. They would have been like quislings in World War II and stuff like that.
Jeez, I've never heard that term before. That's very interesting, Garth.
So a traitor who collaborates.
Are you reading books again?
You know you're not supposed to be reading a book always. Not sharp, really. A traitor who collaborates with an enemy force occupying their country is the definition.
Jesus.
Quisling. It's an interesting word.
That's a doozy.
Yeah.
I'll just pull up my notes here.
Go on.
My second question.
Mm-hmm. No correct answer so far.
Capital punishment.
Yes.
In Ireland is our topic.
Yeah, right.
So, as we've covered before on the trivia section of the Shit Talk podcast, last man in Ireland was hung in 1954.
Right.
Michael Manning.
Fuckers.
He was brought to New Inn Garda Station in Tipperary before he was hung. We then saw basically the ending of capital punishment, hangings and the such, in around 1964 for everything, like including ordinary murder.
Right.
But
right.
In the legislation of Ireland, when was capital punishment abolished?
1985.
1990.
Yeah, I knew it was pretty late.
Mental, isn't it?
Yeah, mental. You didn't give me a range for the years.
Oh, I didn't.
We always give each other. Yeah, that's okay. I didn't. Yeah, okay.
I realistically, I would have said to the closest 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 2. I like the decades if through history things, you know.
Yeah, but,
No, that's fair. I knew it was late.
Yeah.
I'd known
so
the capital.
Late.
I known the capital punishment was
1990.
Late. Yeah, but I suppose the actual act of it. Yeah, it's crazy how that goes. Isn't it? It's like the USC, really. It's just still here, like.
Capital punishment.
For anyone who doesn't know, the USC is the Universal Social Charge, came in after the last depression, or the great everyone's depression. Everyone's living in memory, 2008, whatever.
The Great Regression.
The recession. And there was just a temporary boost in taxes, but it's still here.
It's still there.
Oh, it's still here.
It was a way of raising. They couldn't raise tax anymore, so then they just brought in a new tax. Yeah.
They get some amount of revenue from it.
Do they?
Some amount of revenue from it.
Jesus, well done paying, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit.
There it is.
All right. Question number 3. I'm excited for your last one because there's an anatomy one.
Okay.
And I'm shit at that too. Let me see how to phrase this question. What modern day countries are on the Iberian Peninsula?
Iberian?
Yes. Yes.
Do I just have to name one?
You need to name all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
How many are there?
I can't tell you how many because it might give it away.
Less than 5?
Yeah, less than 5.
Iberia.
You'll kick yourself.
Iberian Peninsula. Okay. Can I ask something?
No.
Was this at one point a peninsula, but now it's no longer a peninsula?
No.
It's still a peninsula.
Wait, when
it's a piece of land jutting out.
Yes. But in all of my memory, it's been a peninsula.
Skirted on 3 sides by the sea. Iberian Peninsula. Jesus.
Yep.
Like Italy is a peninsula all of its own, isn't it?
I suppose.
What about, I'm going to throw one out there, Croatia.
No, will I tell you?
Go on.
Portugal and Spain. That's the Iberian Peninsula.
Would you stop?
Yep.
What?
Yep, that's the Iberian Peninsula.
That's a joke.
You're a joke.
A peninsula. A peninsula should be like a little jutting out.
Well,
that's half of fucking mainland Europe.
How far out do you scale, like, you know? It's the Iberian Peninsula. Christ. You can look it up if you want.
No.
You can look it up.
I believe you and your terrible nomenclature of land.
So I didn't name it the Iberian Peninsula.
Last question.
I'll just. The Iberian Peninsula is a mountainous region that's most associated with countries of Spain and Portugal. Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
human anatomy question.
Let's see it.
As I would expect you to know, I wouldn't even insult you by asking you. The largest organ in the human body is the skin, right?
Well aware, as all 6-year-olds are.
Can you give me either a square footage or a weight of an average human, adult human, square footage or square meterage?
That's crazy. That's a ridiculous question to be
I'd
asking.
expect it to be accurate within 2 feet.
No, that's
or within 10 centimeters squared.
For the record.
Or you can get it a weight
Yeah.
within 200 grams. Average human.
I'm going to take a guess, right? But I just, for the record, this is a ludicrous question.
No, it's not.
And I didn't realise that we were going down this route of these kind of questions. I didn't realise that we were going down these kind of metrics.
What do you mean?
No, it's fine.
No. I'm giving you a range.
It's fine. I'll remember for future questions. No problem. No
What
problem.
did I get for my birthday when I was 5?
How much did it weigh? Go on, give me the range.
I told you the range is within. So if we're going feet, within 2 square feet,
Right.
which is a bit like that's a lot. That's this.
Mm-hmm.
2 square feet.
Yeah.
I'll give you
A fucking football pitch.
a football pitch.
Your intestine covers a football pitch or something.
Your skin now.
Yeah.
If I was to
There's
skin you
multiple
off,
layers.
you've skinned loads of deer.
Yeah.
And you see roughly the size of that skin.
2.2 kilos.
No.
What is it?
3.6 kilos on average.
Right.
22 square feet.
Yeah.
22 square feet.
Not for a football pitch.
That's mental.
That is mental.
Yeah. So that concludes our trivia section.
Yeah.
It's been a traumatic week.
It has been.
It has been.
Yeah. What they say, Tuesday.
We've had an acute injury
Yeah.
in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it took part outside of the office, but
Previous week.
it saw us going to an acute injury clinic.
Mm-hmm.
How's the recovery going, Garth?
So I got some extension back.
Yeah.
So default floppy point is no longer perpendicular with the inside of my little thingy. It's now like at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And we're getting closer to vertical.
Yeah.
So I have from floppy point to 45-degree, I've extension back. So I can extend it again.
Yeah.
My main concern was, would I ever get extension back? Because that actually does happen to some people.
Definitely, yeah.
It's, from what I can gather, I'm not too sure, but it can happen even if you rehab it. If you just leave it alone and you put in the splint, you still might not get extension back.
Okay.
So the fact that I have extension now is fine.
Yeah.
That was my main concern.
Yeah.
Waiting it out is not my concern. Well, it's not ideal, but you know, as a fledgling stoic, I can hang on. I can wait
Can
it
you?
out. I can hang on.
Get sit in the darkness.
But the fact, because I had no feeling, there was no extension. It was not part. Like I said yesterday, it wasn't part of my nervous system anymore.
Yeah.
That was my main concern, because I was like, can you go from having zero motor control over this digit in one direction to returning it back? Because I had assumed if you'd ruptured it, you'd still have a little bit and you'd get it back with time.
Yeah.
But I was concerned, how am I going to go from absolute, and I mean zero. We're not talking like a little bit. I mean, I was just staring at my pinky and nothing was happening.
Yeah.
That was my main concern. So the fact that I now have return of any extension, this is,
So for those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
you mightn't have seen the video, you mightn't have seen Garth's Instagram story. Garth had an owie at training on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Kind of in a takedown, fell through your hand into someone's gi or something. Anyway.
Yeah. Not really sure what happened.
Yeah. An extensor tendon in the distal joint of his little baby pinky.
Yeah.
The 5th carpal was ruptured.
Yeah.
And Garth came into work. I had been training Thursday morning, so I wasn't there. That was really what the issue was.
It was your fault.
It was really what the issue was. I bunked on it 2 a day.
Yeah.
Garth didn't go training in the morning. I did. And he was left on his own, and he always gets hurt when he goes and does things on his own. Well, I should have known better. It was my fault.
I was smashing blue belts.
Yeah,
At the time of my life. King of the mat. 3 in a row.
Billy Big Balls over here.
Just fucking little old white belt me.
Yeah.
Just fucking. And you heard Galera. He did say they were superb.
He did say. I've heard it from a couple of sources now that they're very good takedowns. But anyway.
It wasn't I can't call it dumb strength. It wasn't. They were just good technique. They were good takedowns.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Garth comes into work the next morning.
Yeah.
And the next morning he has his 2 fingers taped together like a child who's fallen over in the yard at school. And he said, "What do you think I should do about this?" And I've seen a lot of broken fingers, dislocated fingers, ruptured tendons.
I would always trust Fitz's advice in very few things, but when it comes to acute injuries, just as Is it because Joe has so much experience?
Just loads and loads and loads of injuries with rugby as well.
Your mother teaches a lot of first aid courses and stuff. So obviously I was going to ask you to ask her.
Yeah.
Which you did anyway, but you would have already made your assessment. So for some reason, you do have good knowledge around acute injuries.
Yeah.
You know.
You usually underplay them though.
Yeah.
You usually wouldn't overreact. Like
for yourself.
A trip to the clinic would be...
it's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that lightly. So anyway,
Gareth
had it taped together like a child who's been picking his nose too much and his parents want him to stop.
That would work.
He said, what do you think I should do? And I said, look, if you take off the tape and it flops down, like a dead fish, then we'll go to the clinic. If you take it off and it's kind of just a bit sore, a bit swollen, then you're grand. Just tape it back up. But it flopped over anyway like a fish that's got something wrong with its central nervous system.
But it didn't even flap. It just like the tendons
just wouldn't move.
Gradually put it back to that perfect and it couldn't move it back, you know. And you were like, I was like, do you think I should see someone? And you were like, I think you should see someone. So when Fitz says, as we all know, as regular podcast listeners know, that, you know, you're incredibly risk adverse. No, that doesn't sound. No, that's right. You're incredibly not risk adverse.
Not risk adverse.
So as with this, the fire extinguishing incident of 2021, we now have one. Who gave us that? Oh yeah,
our jiu-jitsu coach gave us a.
We have a fire extinguisher now. One and done with those, but as you know from Fitz, so if Fitz says you should go get someone look at it, like a traumatic care incident. If someone's go look at it, I was like, right, let's just go now. So if Fitz thinks it's bad enough that someone needs to go look at it, it's definitely time to go get someone to look. Because if you were like, well, it's probably all right, I would have been like, okay, it's fine, you know.
Yeah, interesting story.
Yes.
In 5th class in school, so I would have been 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I relocated my first dislocated finger.
No way.
Yeah, one of the lads was playing in goal. Ball went into his hand, dislocated his finger, grabbed it, popped it back in. Perfect.
Was it painful?
Well, he was crying.
No, your finger.
It's grand for me.
It was his finger.
It was his finger, and I relocated it.
Fuck, was his finger?
So obviously, this kind of nonchalant confidence I have around acute injuries come from a very early age.
It's a calling for you, maybe.
Yeah.
Have you've dislocated fingers, haven't you?
Yeah. So tops of both my thumbs, both my middle fingers.
Were they sore?
The middle fingers are sore. The thumbs happened so much.
Yes.
I'm not joking when I say the last probably 2 or 3 years when I was playing rugby, when I would bind, this would happen once every week or so.
Yep.
When I'd bind on someone in a tackle in a ruck, the top of my thumb would just dislocate. And then you just pop it back in.
See, my main concern was there was no pain.
Yeah.
That was my main concern.
The middle fingers on that middle joint.
Yes.
Incredibly painful.
Yeah, I would have preferred pain almost, because at least pain lets you know it's still there. But the fact that there was no pain, I was like, oh dear, I was like, if my head, I was like, I have to guess, if there's no pain, it must be tendon. So there's no feedback from it.
Yeah.
As tendons are wont to do.
Yeah.
They'll just go when they won't tell anyone. They'll just leave. An Irish goodbye.
No, they're done. Like
they do an Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
Tendons just will leave and not tell anyone.
It's a great thing about tendons too.
Yeah, that's the great thing. You can push it until it goes, you know. That's what, like with fucking lads, Larry Wheels guess people, they just don't know the tendon's going to go until it goes, you know. Whereas the muscles, you kind of know a little bit.
But you kind of know with the tendons too. It's different in an acute case like that where it's a big impact. Yeah. With the tendons, if you tear your bicep tendon, you will have had that excruciating pain in your distal attachment for a long time, or at least a few sessions leading up to it where you're like, something's going on here.
In my experience, bar this obviously, but my experience, most of the time, injuries let you know a long time beforehand. They'll always let you know.
Yeah.
So I just, I just need to leave the splint on it for. I don't know when until they're saying 6 weeks, but
it'll be 3 or 4 and you'll be grand.
Yeah, obviously doctors, always trying to put me down.
I think as well though, they have to take into account that like they give 6 weeks for everyone. So if you're a 55-year-old guy who's out of shape, really bad systemic inflammation, incredibly bad at healing, versus a 28-year-old knob goblin. No, but like it's completely different.
Highly nutritious diet, a lot of sleep, correct,
and
genes.
Just always in the way for adaptation. Like you're training all the time. Your muscles are and your tendons are constantly being broken down.
Well, ACT entry, correct genes for rehabilitation of injuries.
Exactly.
Low rates of injuries. I just have that genetics,
That genetics.
I'm using red light and near infrared on this as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the recovery curve of tendons, usually like from surgeries and stuff, or well, they kind of put it for anything. It's like it goes like this to week 6, then it steeply drops off, and then up to week 12, then a drastic increase in recovery. Really? Yeah. There must be some kind of.
It's good news for you that the competition's exactly 6 weeks away.
The main concern there is the body weight. So what are we at the moment? You see, in my head, Italy has blocked it off.
Because there's something else in between. I'm the same. I'm skiing next week.
Yeah.
Nothing basically, like even Teddy was saying it to me this morning after training. I was in a very bad way after training.
Very bad way.
Really, really bad.
Yeah.
But it's the distance between the late night grappling sessions and the early morning grappling sessions is too small.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I do Monday nights, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday night. And maybe Saturday morning as well, actually, sorry. Mm-hmm. The only ones that actually catch you are that Monday night, the Thursday morning, and the Friday night, the Saturday morning.
I find you're not great warming up, but once I got going, it's just not much of an issue.
It's just that pain.
Yeah. I think the four nights is a sweet spot.
Do you think?
Currently, anyway.
Yeah.
The extreme tiredness and DOMs has gone away. So
definitely.
The outside gym sessions now are totally fine, which is great. Obviously that happens. That's his initial adaptation curve of a new sport. That would happen in anything, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know I seem quite blasé about this, but if this had happened week 10 of 12 on a peaking and weightlifting,
my God,
I'd be a lot. I wouldn't have made that video yesterday. I would have.
It doesn't matter now. Like it's not affecting anything.
I wouldn't have been this blasé. I would have been much more upset about it.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, okay, whatever. But if that had happened, let's say I was clean jerking like 180 for fucking twice a week for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was going to go for 195 for the next week. Then I'd be a lot for fucking.
Yeah, it's a completely different situation.
No, that would have been terrible.
I think it would be a drastically different situation again if it was your flexor tendon.
Yes.
So something that actually worked for grip.
Yes.
In your hand, you know.
As we were talking, though, it's probably unlikely that would happen to flexor tendons.
Yeah, because I think they're so much stronger.
But that obviously is a good indicator that need to be doing some extensor
more work.
There's a lot of extensor work, you know.
Yeah.
Which is quite easy to do, even if you got some elastic bands and shit. Like.
Yeah.
Hands are mental, though, aren't they?
Hands are crazy. Yeah. The one thing I've started noticing is that all of the knuckles on my joints of my fingers are swollen. Mm-hmm. Like all of these. I was icing them last week.
Yes.
I know we talk about like icing and it's not ideal because you need adaptation or you need inflammation for adaptation and all this.
Yeah.
But then sometimes like you just need to ice it.
Yes.
Like our assistant coach Rambo, big shout out.
Yeah.
Got injured this morning, tweaked his knee.
Yes.
Like Rambo just needs to ice, compress, rest, and elevate that leg. Mm-hmm. You know, like
yeah.
There's no point for anything fancy there, Joe. He just needs to do some immediate care on it.
So recently, that the person who said rice,
came
out and said that's not what you should do. I still think though for acute injuries,
I think for stuff like that, like
traumatic acute injuries, it seems to be a better way. Like you don't want the swelling, so there is some damage that can happen for the inflammation to your muscles from the swelling. And I've heard a load of places now, loads of people are saying rice isn't the way, but there is definitely damage from inflammation that can happen to your muscles. So if you've had a herniated disc for 2 years, I think that
absolutely
probably isn't the best thing, the way to go about it. But if you've literally just hyperextended your leg, like as happened this morning, if you want that swelling to stay down, and then you can return to moving faster, full range of motion, moving faster, that ice might be better.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, if you look at weightlifters, and they're icing their knees every day because your knees are always so sore.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's dumb. Like, your knees are inflamed because the amount of work you're doing is above a certain threshold, and you're trying to force adaptation, or your body's trying to force adaptation.
Yeah.
In that case, you need to look at the loading and what's causing it. But as you said, in the acute case where somebody smashes your knee or your ankle or whatever, I think you do just need to be dealing with the inflammation a small bit, like making that a small bit more comfortable, and then going about treatment.
Like even that initial swelling, you know.
Yeah.
Especially things for like joints as well and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to make sure, obviously the inflammation can be quite severe.
Yeah.
Depending on your hormonal responses and that. So you could be, you know, putting pressure on the joint from that swelling. Like the swelling is a protection mechanism.
Yeah.
And obviously still there's particular biological markers, enzymes, immune system responses that are there to heal it, and you obviously need those. But is the swelling necessary? The swelling probably partly is a protective mechanism, a cushion, I suppose, in the wild, as it were, where we wild humans.
Yeah, to constrict around the area,
if we weren't
stop you moving.
If we weren't domesticated, But now that we are, is that necessary immediately?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what the kind of the current prevailing research on that is.
I had to. This reminds me of tearing the lateral ligaments of my right ankle. I think it was like 16 or 17. So there's 2 training pitches. When you walk, so walking from the back pitch across the front pitch into the change room. By the time I got to the change rooms, my foot and ankle were so big my boot wouldn't come off. I had to cut the laces off. Yeah,
I think obviously growing up on a farm, my fingers, every one of my fingers, multiple points have been swollen or sprained.
Yeah.
Just dropping planks of timber on them, getting caught and stuff.
Getting caught in a gate. Do you know, once the gate's closing and it kind of jams in between the gate and the post? Man.
I can remember a point where I was looking at my hands, and I was still a child, being like, my hands aren't ever going to be smaller again. My fingers are always going to be this kind of fat.
Yeah.
I can just remember I can actually remember a point thinking where I'd sprained my finger again, and I was like, why does this keep happening to me? Every year, like some of my digits would just get swollen, something would happen.
Yeah.
Like you'd fall over, you'd drop something on it. I actually remember thinking like at 10 years old or something, where I was like, why does this keep happening to my fingers? Like, why do I keep getting sprains in my fingers, And obviously, didn't Brazil any resilience in the extensor side.
Obviously not.
But it needs to be trained.
It's like the similar thing of like, you can hold an alligator's jaw shut with like an elastic band around the outside,
Yes.
The extensors are so weak.
Yeah.
And yet they could crush the panel of a car with the flexors,
What is the strongest mouse, pound for pound, in the animal kingdom?
I'm gonna throw 2 out there.
No, I'm gonna need one.
If I'm going 1,
yeah,
it's a hyena.
Yeah, you did right. Yeah.
The other one I would have gone for was the saltwater croc.
Saltwater crocodile.
Yeah,
the extensor thing is bad in the crocodiles as well. That the fact it can just literally.
Yeah, you can just.
Yeah, a child could be close.
I was a major fan of Steve Irwin when I was a kid.
Who wasn't?
Yeah, major. I remember hearing that he had died and crying in bed.
No way.
Yeah.
You were crying in bed?
I was old enough when he died as well.
What age were you? 20, 21?
No, I'd say it was 13 or 14, but full on. Yeah. Jeez, I had a deep connection with Steve Irwin.
Did you see someone in the comments yesterday said that I was too old to start?
Yeah.
I don't know if they say fighting sports or combat sports.
I think jiu-jitsu is definitely the exception to that rule. Like, if you were starting, definitely if you're starting like certain field sports that are very high contact, there's absolutely no way you could go as a 28-year-old and start playing rugby. Whereas I think jiu-jitsu, you could certainly go to your local.
I suppose in my circumstances, first of all, I'm only 28. I'm not fucking 60.
Yeah.
Also, like, this is my first rodeo with martial arts or fighting sports. This is the third one now, so I'm well aware, and this is obviously, I know what I'm getting myself into in sports.
Yeah.
It's like I
think there's a big difference as well between people who are used to training a lot, and training hard, versus the person who kind of goes to the gym 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Like, there's a massive difference in that, like, training, and basically a lot of people are exercising, versus training hard.
Like, I understand I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah.
They're and it's funny because this person seemed like an older gentleman or whatever, and I'm sure they mean well, which is fine. But
the biggest thing from that comment section.
Yes.
I put a comment in early in the video.
Yeah.
There might have been like 6 or 8 comments there. And they're all like, "Oh my God, I hope you're okay, dude. Looking out for you." Like, do all this.
Yeah.
And I just, obviously, I'm going to take the piss out of you. Obviously.
Yeah.
If you fucking broke your nose, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I said, Jesus Christ, it's a straight up pity party down here in the comments.
They're just being nice. Like, Irish people take that too far, though.
Man, people did not get that.
I think they did.
They were like, ligament injuries are so traumatic.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If he had broken his spine, granted, if you were paralyzed or something, I wouldn't have. But I certainly wouldn't have put a comment saying thank you.
Like, Irish people are the odd one out when it comes to that kind of thing.
Are we?
I think Irish people take it too far. Like, they take, like, other cultures are like, no, he's after hurting himself. Of course, you should be somewhat nice to him, you know.
Why though?
Where
it doesn't help me being patronising and being like, "Are you okay?"
But would you prefer that? Does being mean help? Yeah. I'm asking. Does it?
Because then you could just be angry at the person rather than me being like, "My fucking finger," Joe.
But Joe, I was thinking about the person. So like, obviously, this person said he was arrested or whatever, and he was like, you know, it's not worth it, the glory or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I get when people say that, right? But you have to do things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The future lies in uncertainty. You have to live immediately, is a quote from Seneca. Like, you have to do things. What do you do? Like, the funniest part for me, and he was making a joke, I wasn't laughing at him, but he said stick with weightlifting, as if weightlifting was somehow any way less egregious. Like, I can't tell you how many injuries I've had.
I definitely, the ceiling for weightlifting is so much lower than ceiling for BJJ.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, if you're not in your early 20s, somewhat athletically talented and correctly made for weightlifting, I'd be hesitant about recommending anyone to do it. Now, we have loads of people who are later in life get into it, mightn't be the most athletic, mightn't have the best training background, they just want to get better, and that's absolutely perfect. But for somebody who wants to be an athlete in weightlifting's a very, very select sport. And like a lot of people do weightlifting and probably shouldn't be weightlifting and would be much better off not doing it. You know? Be like jiu-jitsu in particularly where we train, you get hurt, you get dings and knocks, but they're never like, Jesus, you're not going to have chronic knee pain for 8 months out of 12. You know, like you're not. And to be honest, I think you could start it much, much later in life and do quite well. Now, you won't be a black belt, or you won't be incredibly good at competitions. You probably won't be good at competitions at all, but you certainly don't have to be hugely athletic for it, because if you're very smart or you really drill hard or you kind of think about things a lot and put a lot of work in, I think you can enjoy it just as much as somebody who's a freak.
Because there is some progression, you know, but in weightlifting, the weights don't go up, you know, and people do get very frustrated with them. So, but like, even on a broader sense of things, you know, what do you do? So what do you do in life if, what are you supposed to do? Like, what do you do? If you don't want to do risks with things,
100%.
Where do you go? Like, what are you supposed to do? Do you what? Like, what? There's no other option. You have to do.
No, you have to do something. It's like people will like, and these are two completely different opposite things, but like, people will not go and do like a hike because of like, oh, I'll be so sore afterwards. Like, what's the fucking point in you being here? If you're just worried about being sore, so it's sore when you sit on your ass and watch Netflix, or whatever, you know, like what are you doing? And then the other side of it is like somebody who won't go out. They won't go out for dinner or drinking with their friends. It's like, oh, it's going to be so late and I'm going to be so tired. It's like, what's the point in whatever you're doing right now? Like, we're very open about, we like how we work because we enjoy the job we do. It allows us freedom to train a shitload, allows us freedom to go shooting a lot, and we get to travel loads for work, which is things that matter to us. But like, there's still plenty of times where you're like, Jesus, I think I will just go and fucking do this dumb hike that's a bit too high and a bit too late or whatever, you know? And it doesn't matter if you're going to be really sore the next day because you've had a bit of crack while you do it. Or like, you'll hang out that bit too late in the evening. Joe, there's a lot of people tread water and worry about the wrong things and end up going nowhere.
If you don't do things, like, there is... what's the end point? Where do you go from that, you know? If you have to do something, you know, like, you have to do activities, like, you have to do those things regardless of the risk of them, you know, or not regardless of the risk, but you have to just assume the risk, understand it a little bit and say, is this the risk worth it for me?
It's crazy the amount of lads and girls as well our age who I know well, who have no real hobby. Like, they would have played sport growing up. They might have done something, whether it be like gymnastics or whatever growing up, and then they just have nothing. And their life is like working, drinking and shopping. And that's it.
I think this is what I was going to say. Every year I get older, I'm more reinforced by that thought. Like, you have to take the risks, and you have to do more things.
Yeah.
Like, literally every year. That's not something we're talking about, like a 17-year-old saying this. Like, literally, you know, I'm more convinced that you have to do as much as possible every year.
Yeah.
Like, take risks for things. Do more stuff. Like, I'm every year that's more solidified in my brain that you should be doing more things, challenging things, different things, risky things.
100%.
Like, when I think about it, like some of the most major events, like the risks of those, you know, risky things, like for example the rally itself would have been something that required a lot of a big leap of whatever. One of the fondest memories of my life so far. This company, like, I love jiu-jitsu, like, but obviously I love weightlifting. Is something I wanted to start, and I decided I wanted to do it and stuck with it for years, you know, and still do love it. You know, you just have to be taking risks for things, like otherwise you just like my favorite person when I think about that is like Ronnie Coleman, you know.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously like in a wheelchair at the moment, getting multiple back surgeries, and people are like, oh, I bet he regrets it now and stuff, and like, but what would he have done otherwise? He said he doesn't regret it. The only thing he said he regretted was not going for another rep with 800 pounds, you know. And some people had the audacity then trying to say, oh, he's just trying to make us feel better. I like, why would that be? That's your not procrastination. That's your projecting onto him. Like, he genuinely does not seem like he regrets it. Like, he doesn't seem like someone who is like, oh, because you're going to be old anyway. Yeah. And then you're going to eventually die regardless. So you might as well have tried as many things, or done as many things, or pushed as many of one or two different things as far as you could take them, you know.
It's like that thing of, most of the time on people's deathbeds, they're not regretting the thing they did do.
Yes.
They're regretting the thing they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of perpetual cycle of not having anything outside of working and socializing, just for me is like...
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a dead purgatory that...
I think a lot of our generation, though, specifically our generation for sure, and definitely the people coming up underneath us or whatever, I've kind of realised that, you know, the work scheme that maybe our parents would have followed isn't it. Yeah. Like, loads of people, especially in the pandemic, sped that up for people.
Yeah.
That you know, there's like the great resignation and all that stuff. Now, obviously, how much that actually happens in reality as opposed to people's viewing things on the internet, it remains to be seen. But there's definitely a trend towards people realizing that, you know, you can't do that. Like, you just can't be doing jobs or careers and stuff that don't make you somewhat happy for multiple, you know, for 60, 50 hours a week. It's not the way forward, because I think it made a lot of people realize that they only have one life or whatever, you know.
I think as well there's a big misconception out there where loads of people are, when they think about the ideal case scenario, they're like, oh, what do I really love doing, you know? And then they say, okay, I'm going to try and get a job in that thing that I really, really love doing. Like, that's not necessarily where you need to go with this, or what Garth is saying with this. Like, you can get a job which affords you a huge, or a career or something, like where you spend most of your time affords you a huge amount of opportunity to go and do the other things you really like doing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily, if you're really into whatever, designing weightlifting shoes, you don't necessarily have to go and work as a sports shoe designer immediately. Like, all you could do is you could just start working a job where you do shift work, you've multiple days off a week. There might be midweek days off where you actually go and get to work on your weightlifting shoes that are handmade or whatever. Like, those kind of moves make massive difference for people.
Yeah, and I think the problem as well in the last year is it's everyone has to be a business owner, you know.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't think that's not the way for a lot of people, you know. And for some people it's to be like employee number 10.
Yeah,
would be perfect for them, because they can do like 30 hours a week. Like, there's definitely there's some places, like companies, smaller companies, like a couple of digit people where they call them like collectives, you know.
Yeah.
Where everyone shares in the profits and everyone kind of decides their jobs, and there's like weekly meetings and stuff. Sounds a bit communist to me, which obviously I don't know time for, but
sounds like communism to me.
Sounds like communism, but the idea is there, you know. So it doesn't have to be. It's a business owner. That's not the only option for people. I think that's kind of a little bit of the problem with the kind of hustle porn, hustle culture.
Yeah, man, that's what I hate about it.
It makes it seem like you have to be a business owner, but you
everyone can't own an online store, like.
But they don't need to. Like, you can just, if you like making leather shoes or something, you know, you can, to bring it back to the shoe analogy, like you can go find somewhere. Now, maybe you might have to set up by yourself. Maybe that is the answer. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be, you have to set up your own company, you know?
No. We could probably do a whole very long podcast on that if people were interested in the setting up of like the kind of passive company model or getting something working in the background for a few years. We could certainly do that, or like share some of our experiences in that. But I'm not sure if people will be interested. So it is kind of up to you. If you want that, let us know. Gareth looked like he was about to say something there.
No, just
he's also reading a WhatsApp.
We gotta go.
We will talk to you all again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, Dara's the victor of trivia.
You didn't win anything.
And
you get any questions right? No
one
got a
guys.
question right.